Welcome to Positive Outcomes, where leaders turn hard-won experience into income, impact, and freedom.
Hello, every single one. Welcome to Positive Outcomes. We are super excited for another episode. I have my paper and my pen to learn and get all the information we can get from Matt today. I hope you're doing the same too. Today, we are super excited. It's going to be an amazing show. What is positive outcome? Here we turn expertise into impact and income. We bring leaders from every industry and we just talk about their journeys and we learn and we grow together. So I'm so excited today. I will talk a little bit about our guest for today. Our guest for today is Matt. He is a seasoned writer, director, producer, and editor whose creative journey started when he was what? 17 years old. So you might want to grab your teenagers and bring them to the show. Grab them. When he was 17 years old. His early work included adapting, directing Caligula CEO for his high school theater program. And by the age of what? 20 years old, he wrote and directed his first indie feature 243, which premiered at Tribeca Cinemas and was later distributed by Amazon at the age of what? 20. I told you, grab the young folks, bring the youths because they are going to learn and they're going to learn something from this show today. Since then, Matt has written multiple featured screenplays and TV pilots, with his script earning recognition from the Austin Film Festival, Hollywood Horror Fest, and the Academic Nicole Fellowship. His recent projects include collaboration with Bloomberg, Warner Bros., Discovery, Rolling Stone, Brain and Company, and the U.S. Department of State. That is actually extremely impressive, guys. Matt, welcome to Positive Outcome.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
This is extremely impressive, and we are so happy to have you here. I'm sure the viewers, they're going to learn a lot. So before we get started, take us back to your very first creative spark, right? What drew you to storytelling so early?
I've always been inspired by films, and that, started, I think, the spark. And I just had a passion and an influence, I think, to write. And starting with that, in high school, I kind of got the spark when I was 15. And yeah, I put myself into that and reading scripts and writing, movies that I wanted to see. I think my first scripts, I was influenced really by Roman history. I was really into at the time as a kid. I watched Old Gladiator, influenced me a lot. And then I took Latin class in middle school, like through high school. And through that, we learned, not just Latin itself as a language, but we're watching a British miniseries called I, Claudius, which highlighted 5 Roman emperors. And that story intrigued me, the politics of Rome, the drama of it, and it being a real situation that enlightened me. And I started by writing a script that I was kind of like Gladiator, but it was Hamlet mixed with Romeo and Juliet. And then I decided to change it to Japan. So I researched Japanese culture and rewrote it to fit Japanese. But this is even before watching Akira Kurosawa films, which I later watched. And then that influenced a rewrite, which basically I picked up what I had written when I was 15 and I rewrote it during the pandemic. That's its own sort of separate project. So you're never like really done, I think, with the art when you start it. But that was sort of an early influence. And after writing that first script when I was 15, which looking back on it, it's so bad. You go back and read it and it's terrible. But at the time, I found a screenwriting competition at Brown University. So I submitted it to that and then went to that film festival when I was 15, and that influenced me too. And then I got the spark just kept going. And in high school, like when I was maybe a sophomore, I saw a senior and he directed a play. It was a apocalyptic version of Antigone. And that inspired me to then do the same sort of thing because I wanted to direct and see something like that through. So the next year there was a vacant spot for that. and I discovered Caligula by Camus, and it was a 4-act play. And having watched I Claudius, which Caligula was one of the emperors in that series, and then basically that sort of history, read that play and then decided to adapt it and remodernize it to fit a CEO. So then that was then the first directing experience, the writing, directing, producing experience. And then halfway through that, the drama advisor, who was a new drama advisor that year, he just left suddenly. And then that production was just kind of on me as a 17-year-old. But we did it for like 3 performances and an encore. And it's something I'll never forget. And it really, that then sparked, I think, the love of working with actors. So then from there, went to film school, and I went to a film school. Typically, film schools, they will build theory, and then you wait maybe like a couple years before you pick up a camera. The benefit, I think, of the school that I went to, they let us pick up a camera our first year. So I really learned from just those experiences, and same sort of spark. I think there was like the summer of my freshman year, I couldn't sleep. So then I just like wrote 3 short scripts. And then that sophomore year, then I decided to produce, direct
Wow.
all those scripts. So I did that. And then that pushed me then to do a longer short film. And then my junior year, I wanted to do a feature. So I wrote a feature that summer, probably the end of August. And I met 3 actors who just graduated who I wanted to work with. So I wrote something specifically for them.
Oh, wow.
And it was kind of like a remodernization of this Truffaut film, Jules and Jim. So it was kind of like that, but it's about 2 men who fall in love with the same woman, but they're kind of like they're friends, but they're at odds. And wound up filming that from August to November of 2007 in between classes and a part-time job. I was very sleep deprived. I like don't even know how I did it, honestly, looking back on it. And there was a lot of coordination, and something I think that I will only would have been able to do as a 20-year-old, being able to talk to all these businesses to open things
Wow.
up. So it was really, I think, a lightning in a bottle of an opportunity. And after doing that, I learned a lot through that. And I think that experience is probably why I don't have any hair, because it was so stressful. But yeah, it premiered locally, and then it was a part of a online film festival, and then it wound up screening at Tribeca Cinemas, and then was distributed in the very early days of Amazon when it was Create Space before streaming. And yeah, from that experience, I decided to just kind of take a step back, because realistically, I don't think you can make a good movie without money, or at least some
Right.
sort of, and
Exactly.
I think the feature that I did, I got very lucky of having people were able to, I mean, I was
Um,
in school with a lot of people that were doing the same thing, but
um,
businesses that were very generous with me. And then after that, I just decided to just focus on writing. So since
oh, so
then,
you just do writing pretty much right now?
yeah, yeah. But with the aim always of directing it,
Okay.
so it's been a long-term process. And then in between, just working for clients and doing the client works. I'm originally from Pennsylvania. I went to film school there and then wanted to leave. So I went to Chicago and was there for about 3.5 years, worked for some creative agencies. And then I moved to DC, where I was for about 6 years working for government agencies. And then when the pandemic hit, then I had always wanted to live in LA. So now I'm out in LA. I moved out July 4th, 2020. Yeah, I
Is
mean,
it over
I
there? You like it? Is it like a dream come true for you?
it's yes. I mean, I love LA. I mean, I love the sun. It's been a hard year with the fires, and just I think the industry in general, I think is shifting, and it's always been changing.
Yeah.
But I'm on a path, I think, right now to producing a horror movie that I've been working on for a while, that I wrote back when I was moving from Chicago to DC. I got an idea for a horror movie and wrote that. And I've been very passionate and about making that as the next feature that I want to do, among other things that I've written. So that's my primary focus right
That's
now.
amazing. So, if you have to talk to our listeners right now that are so passionate about movie production, directing, scripting, being in that world, a lot of youths and parents, I have friends that their kids just want to be in Hollywood. They just want to be a writer and they're really good at. Actually have a friend that the son is always talking about writing. So, what will you tell that youth or that young at this age when they may want to be a Hollywood writer or producer. Looking back at your 15-year-old self, 17-year-old self, and some of the things that you did and some of the mistakes and some of the struggles, what will you tell these parents?
I mean, lead with passion, lead with, I think, if you have a feeling and, want to be an artist, then do it, I mean, it's not easy. I don't think it was ever meant to be easy. But I think if you're passionate about what you want to do, and if you feel a calling and feel like that's your purpose, then follow through with that and do it. And don't give up. Find resources, find friends, that want to help you, and decide, I think, kind of where you fit. And always be open to pivoting to different areas of what you want to do. So, I mean, if in the example of with film and storytelling, there's tons of different places to pivot, of different, organizations that need storytelling and need media. So, yeah, I would say just as long as you're passionate, that's a very good starting point. And
So you
yeah.
talked about your future film 243 got into Tribeca cinemas as a student. That is pretty huge, right? What was that whole experience? I know you mentioned, but just what was that experience as you were working pretty much three jobs?
Yeah.
Funding, sources, schoolwork. How was the whole experience?
I mean, making that, think I spent like $500 on
Oh,
on the movie.
that's it?
Yep. And I mean, it's so low. When I put it into IMDb, it came up as an error where they were like, "Are you sure?"
Yeah, that is
Um,
really low.
yeah, I mean the equipment I used through my school, the actors, through my school, crew school, the locations I found, they were just extremely generous with me, and let me use their locations, which is great. Yeah, I mean, there was a hotel that opened their doors to me, a wedding reception area that opened their doors to me, police officers that helped me close down a road. I had to call them 3 times to help me, but it was, I think, the persistence that then they were like, "Okay, we'll help this kid out." And then premiering it, I met a friend who was able to help, like, finance the premiere, which was loaning me $1,000, which I paid her back after the ticket sales. And then, yeah, and then I just submitted it to festivals, and there was an Independent Features Film Festival that was an online festival. And at the end of it, there was a screening at Tribeca Cinemas in New York. So that
That
was the
is
journey, I think, of
amazing.
that feature. But looking back on it, and I think of that experience, yeah, I mean, I have a ton of stories, I think, for just making that, but and a lot of
It's
great
amazing.
stories and great
Yeah.
people that I worked with on that project, and I learned a lot from it, uh, and enough, I think, to take a step back and want to just focus on creating a library of scripts, before moving forward with directing. And since then, I mean, it's been almost 20 years, but it's I'm fine with that,
You
so
might
I'm
have answered
for
this
it.
before. You talked about passion, but you've continued ever since 15 or 17. You've continued to write, to self-produce. What is that? What is it, that thing that drives this commitment to independent storytelling? Like from the age of 15, you keep like going forward, forward, forward. What is that one thing that our viewers can learn from that could drive that and keep it and make it sustainable and maintain it?
I think it's just a sincere love for the medium. I'm always, and also too, I'm not done learning, I mean, I always, during the pandemic, I was watching a lot of films. I mean, the one thing I really love about Los Angeles is the movie palaces and the different retrospective screenings. And I feel like I've gotten a second film education since moving here, and watching, matinee shows and just other films in 35, and really digesting just a lot of older cinema too. So I'm just a lifelong student, I feel, of film, and I will continue to be. And I think there's always room to learn and improve. And I mean, from my early experiences of directing a play, directing a feature, theater, there's just the immediate gratification of the audience and just hearing that live, and also just the spontaneity, I think, of the performance. I've done live video production, and it's kind of the same in that respect. And ultimately, I think it is entertaining and enlightening an audience and inspiring people. which I love to do from those early experiences too, of just hearing that crowd reaction of people. And no matter really if it's an auditorium full of people or just a few people that are in the
Right.
audience, that I think is what drives me. And also
Very,
kind of,
very fulfilling.
yeah, there's nothing like it, I think.
Yeah.
And I think film too is just the highest art form of just all these combinations of different disciplines. And that's what I also love too, is just the opportunity to collaborate with different artists and see a vision through of something, that just sort of sprouted as an idea, and then seeing that through from, concept through creation and delivery. That is, I think,
It's
what drives.
really, I can say it's very clear that you have followed your creative calling, right? And people struggle to follow that calling, that thing in them. It's like from what you're saying, you've really followed it. And I'm going to switch a little bit, but you've also thrived in your professional settings. For example, you've worked across major global cities, corporations, from government agencies to entertainment giants. You have done a really good job blending the corporate world with your own passion, right? And I've talked to people and I see people struggle with that. What skills from the film world translate into all this environment, government agencies, corporate, in your film world? What are the skills that you have to manage all these different diverse agencies and companies you've worked with?
I mean, I think at its core, it's really about storytelling, and that's what interests me of bringing that to, various clients that I've worked with. But also too, I mean, I never planned to work in government, and that just sort of happened. And I think that experience too. I mean, well, specifically, I worked at the State Department, and during that period, learning a lot about international relations and diplomacy, and that I think at its core too is filmmaking and creative collaboration is diplomacy. So yeah, I mean, I think within the clients that I've worked with, corporate or just agencies, it's still at its heart, it's collaboration and it's storytelling. And I mean, the priorities are different, between different places that you work with. But yeah, I think at its
Has
core, it's
has there been a
about
time where
collaboration.
you are like, I'm walking away? Like, what of some of those challenging moments in your journey where either corporate or in your storytelling, has there been moments where you like doubted yourself or am I in the right path or I'm done, I'm tired? Have you ever had that kind of experience throughout your journey?
I mean, I've been tired, yeah, but no, I'll never give up. I think in what I am trying to achieve and wanting to do, and that's I think the biggest message I probably could give to any sort of young person is just don't give up, even if you fail. I think there are patience. Yeah, patience is a big one, and I think just being able to pivot out of different situations. I think I've especially learned that working in live video production where you need a plan A through a plan F. Being prepared, yeah, leading with truth and being genuine. So yeah, those are I think the advice that I would give.
You mentioned that you are focused on advancing within your field. What does your next level look like at this point? Because you're very determined, you're very focused, very passionate. What does like your next level look like? Let's talk about like the next 3 to 5 years.
Next 3 to 5 years, well, right now, yeah, I'm developing a horror movie that I have been wanting to make for a while. I really need to get it out of me and direct that. So that is, priority for me as an artist of doing that. And I feel like it's in a good place and it's moving in a right direction. So hopefully we're able to do that soon. And like I mentioned, I took a step back and I just focused on writing. All of those things that I kind of set up for myself are waiting for that moment to happen. So when I direct this horror feature, there's a neo noir feature that I wrote that I want to do, a dramedy about romantic comedies. The first script that I ever wrote, which is that hybrid of Hamlet and Romeo and Juliet, but set in feudal Japan. That's a script that's waiting for me. That's probably like project 4 or 5. There's a novel I found at a flea market when I was 17 that I wrote an adaptation for that I rewrote during the pandemic too. That's my holiday movie. So I have all of these things set up for myself that, I want to do over the next 3 to 5 and I mean 10, 20 years of my life. It's all, I mean, contingent, I think, on finding the right person to collaborate with and see those dreams through. But yeah, I mean, those are things that are waiting for me.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So for listeners who are creatives working in structured careers, what advice will you give them to stay inspired? They want to do what you're doing. I think you already said it, being patient, being prepared, and lead with truth. For those listeners that are like looking at you like, wow, I want to do this. I want to be this way. Is there any other nuggets you can share with them right now?
Well, I, as an artist, I dip in and out of different mediums. So being a writer, director, producer, editor, if I'm feeling tired as a writer, I can go and edit. You know, I
That's a good one.
I like painting too. So when I first moved here, I just felt inspired to make some art pieces. So I did that. If I get blocks, I will divert my creative attention to other things. I think exercise is very important. I try to exercise every day and get outside and get away from the noise of technology. Read, it's all these different things, I think. And I think technology has built such a distracted sense of our society. Finding a peaceful place. Meditation is also very helpful too. Just all these different things, I think. And film itself too, for me, feels like meditation, or watching a film and studying a film. So I think it's all of these things like kind of combined that help the creative process. So that'd be my advice, I think, is just to find what you're passionate about, but then also find other things too that help build that up and help your life.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So for someone that wants to follow your path, right, where would they start? What starting point would you tell them?
Well, I would encourage people to find their own path and find what works for them.
For
And
them.
it's different for everybody, I think, based on your resources or et cetera. So yeah, I think it's just finding your own way. And I've had to find my own way myself. I'm still finding my own way.
Yeah, it's a process. The journey continues. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
It's a marathon.
Sure.
So yeah, I think that'd be my advice.
So if you go back to your 17-year-old and you have to tell that 17-year-old something about what you've gone through so far, and you're looking at you being 17 right now, what would you tell that 17-year-old in high school working on a project? What would you advise that 17-year-old, and what changes, or what would you tell them differently?
I think trust the process. And I mean, there are a lot of roadblocks, that come up, I think, in your life, and to just continue with it. What I've focused on, I think, over the years is that I've taken negatives in my life and have turned them into positives
Oh,
through
amazing.
my creative writing.
Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of the impetus of me writing at such a young age was because of my family life at the time. It was used it as creative therapy. And that was sort of the starting point too. So of a lot of things. But yeah, I think try to channel the negative things that happen in your life into positive outcomes.
As you called the best word I could hear from your mouth today. All I needed to hear, those positive outcomes
Yeah, you can clip
transmute
that soundbite out.
to
Yeah.
positive out. So I know you've done so many things. Just let us know, among all of them, what is that one that you're really absolutely proud of?
It's like picking your favorite child. Proud of the people that I work with. And specifically, I think actors, and I love working with actors so much and seeing them, nail a scene or embody a character that you write. I'm very proud of them and the crew that I work with on each different project that I do. But I think each project's different in its own lesson. I feel very fortunate and very privileged to be able to do what I love in various ways. And I think each new project that I do, there's a new opportunity to learn something, to share something. So I'm proud of myself at a young age for doing those things, and without, I think, really any sort of carrot to doing it. I just wanted to do it, and those
Yes.
memories are very cherished, and the friendships that I've built through those are invaluable. So yeah, I think just probably those early things.
That's amazing. So to get the collaboration with the actresses and partners, is that difficult to come by? You mentioned some resources. Do you want to just give some of the viewers some of them and some resources, and How is collaboration like? Is it easy? And then are there any resources that you can give out to the viewers?
I think it depends on the circumstance and where you are, but I would say if you're a student and you're in school, really try to take advantage of being there in the moment with your classmates and find your tribe. I think starting with that and then build your creative team, that's important. I think maybe starting there. But I think whatever job you kind of land into or people that you work with, it's the same sort of thing. It starts with the communication and the trust and I think that's where the collaboration then really flourishes out of. But inevitably, I think professionally, I mean, it starts with a budget and money. There's only the collaboration can only go so far without those things in place. So, but it varies. It differs kind of on what you're doing too. So, whether it be film or theater or music or, yeah, any of those different disciplines.
That's amazing. As we are wrapping up on the show, I know you will say you don't know what to pick among the favorite children, that you have so many of them. We always end this show with, what is that one positive outcome that you are super, super, super proud of? And what did it take for you to get there? You've mentioned several, and I know this is going to be hard for you to talk about that particular one and what took you to get to that one. 'Cause there should be one that you're really like so proud of. Is there any that you can talk about?
I mean, it's hard to because I'm not done yet. And I feel like the most proud I'm gonna be is when I make this horror movie that I've been wanting to make for 10 years. So I think just envisioning that and that experience and then it being done and existing, that visualization for myself, I think is important. Yeah, I guess in terms of things that I've already done, I mean, one of the most amazing experience I've had within my professional career was working for the State Department and traveling. And 19, I traveled to 27 countries in 7 months as a videographer, producer, and an editor. And that experience, it actually wrote a pilot for a television series based on that experience because it was so unique and crazy. But and even just doing it before the pandemic too, but being able to see the world and in a very unique way and meet all types of people. I mean, it was just an incredible experience. So that I think was a really positive outcome of, just gaining different perspectives. And I haven't traveled really that much since, and I really want to travel again and go to some of the places that I visited that I really loved.
Was it just within the States or did you have to go out of country?
Yeah, so that experience, I mean, I started at the State Department in their live video department, and then they found that I had a film background and asked me one random day if I wanted to go to Poland, and it was like, sure. So that trip was Hungary, Slovakia, Poland, and then the last day we started in Poland, then went to Brussels for brunch, Iceland for lunch, and then back to the US. So that was like 1 week. There was another where it was supposed to be, I think it was supposed to be Saudi Arabia, then Sri Lanka, India, but then it
Wow.
pivoted to Afghanistan. So went to United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Afghanistan, India, Japan, South Korea, and that was like in 7 days.
7 days?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then, yeah, another that was, I mean, just an incredible experience was going to Kuwait, Israel, and then they were going in a different direction. So the videographer I was with, she went to Amsterdam. I went to Egypt because I really wanted to ride a camel through the desert. So I did. And that Cairo is like one of my favorite places I've ever been
Yes, it's
to.
beautiful. Yeah,
Amazing, amazing
that's
place.
great.
No, yeah, I mean that experience was life changing. And I never expected that for myself. It was just something that just happened.
Amazing. That
Very
is
privileged
really
to be there.
amazing. Because one of the reasons why we come here is to share expertise and also give our information for people to collaborate with us, to talk to us. Do you have any information you want to just give out as we're wrapping up?
Yeah, sure. So I mean, I've divided myself into two different areas. So I mean, since I do four things, I mainly produce and edit for clients. So that subset of me is Red Sauce Films, and that website basically has all the client work that I've done over the
What is the
years.
website again?
is redsaucefilms.com. Started as a production company that was my college production company. But then as time went on, I was like, well, I should focus my producing editing on this side for these clients. And then Neo Noir Pictures is my work as a writer director, because I really love noir as a genre. And the website was available. So I got that, and that's my writing directing side. So that's my narrative. But those are the two, areas of myself that are sort of split. So I mean, I'm always up for meeting new people. I love talking about the creative process, and it takes a village to make a film. So I'm always open to meeting creatives and talking about what I love, and finding like-minded people who love what I love. That's what I'm
Well,
all about.
Matt, thank you so much. Your journey starting at the age of 15 or even earlier, your love for storytelling and writing, and your patience through the process is truly, truly inspirational to our viewers. You talk about patience, planning, leading with truth. I love that part of it. And of course, you say you will fail sometimes. We don't have to worry about the negativity. We just have to keep focus. And this is just exactly what I'm sure a lot of us will benefit from. And he's given his website. So go there and listen to it. And thank you guys so very much for listening to Positive Outcome. Please, please share and share and share. I'm sure there's so many youths out there, so many parents out there that are in the decision of where my son really likes this, my daughter really likes this. This is a story from a 17-year-old high school student to success of today, staying focused, failing forward, and getting to his positive outcomes. Goodbye, guys, and thank you, Matt.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to Positive Outcomes. Follow the show and share this episode to inspire someone's next chapter.